to this forum featuring the candidates who are running for New Hope City Council. They are all running unopposed, and for State House District 45A and State House District 45B. I'm Susan Eisenhardt, and I'm a member of the New Hope Crystal East Plymouth League of Women Voters. We are proud of our nonpartisan stand on the issues and also our citizen education. This is being broadcast on cable television, Channel 12, and we have sheets on the table by the door that will tell you when the rebroadcast times are. Our moderator this evening is Carol Ware, and she is a member of the Brooklyn Park, Osseo, Maple Grove League of Women Voters.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to be here. Please join me in welcoming the candidates for mayor and city council for the city of New Hope, and the candidates in districts 45A and 45B who wish to become your Minnesota representatives. The candidates for mayor and city council for the city of New Hope are running unopposed, and we are allowing them to give a short statement before the forum to tell us about themselves and why they are running for office for city council. They will each have 5 minutes to speak. For the state representative forum, each candidate will have up to 3 minutes for an opening statement, an opportunity to tell us about themselves and why they want to represent you in our state government. Following that, members of the audience may ask questions of individual or all candidates. Please write your candidates on one of the cards provided and hand it to a league member. Questions submitted online up to the day before the forum are also being included. All candidates may answer any question, whether or not it was directed to them. Candidates may take up to 1.5 minutes to answer. At the end of the question period, each candidate will have up to 1 minute for a concluding statement. We will now hear from the candidate for mayor, Kathy Hempkin.
Okay. Thank you. Thank the League of Women Voters for doing this. I know how much work, I really know how much work this is, and I do appreciate all that you do. I'm Kathy Hempkin. I'm the current mayor of New Hope. I'm a widow. I have 6 children. I have 11 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and I love them all. And I think this is the greatest job in the world. I'm running unopposed, as are my other 2 council members. I want to thank you for your confidence that you've shown in me in the last 8 years as mayor. I really do appreciate all the questions and concerns and the help that I get from the community as I go forward with this job. Our job is to give the taxpayers the best value for the money that we can give them. And one of the things that we do that's never talked about is those things that happen behind the scenes. So as my 2 council members are going to talk about the fun stuff that's going on in New Hope, I'm going to talk about the boring stuff that is saving us money. In 2007, we lost our finance director. And so what we did at that time is we hired a company called AEM, Abdo Eichenmeyer, and the idea was that they were going to help us run our finance department. They would come in occasionally and do some stuff, and then a few years later we actually hired them on full-time, but they're not in the office full-time. It's really a huge cost savings to us to have contracted out that service. They do our budgets, and now they're very readable and accessible. They also do our audit. They do it on time. We never have a click against us for our audits. So we really appreciate having AEM, and quite frankly, it saves the city money. The other thing that saves the city money is it's called solution builders. We had one woman in our IT department who was trying to keep our police computers up and our city computers and the council computers. And very often if your system went down, it would be 3-4 days or a week before you'd get it fixed again because she was so busy. So what we did, we looked at the cost of keeping her and hiring another person to run our IT department or going on the outside to a company called Solution Builders. And we did that because now when we have a problem with our computers, we simply call them and a whole team of people come in and they get everything fixed in a day or 2. It really has been a cost savings again for us, and we'll continue to do that. We contract out our engineering services for the exact same reason. When you have to pay benefits and a wage, it's a lot cheaper sometimes to go on the contract stage. We do this because we think it's saving money. We also think we're getting better value for your money. Since we're running unopposed, it makes the campaign a lot easier. Well, it does. I've been door knocking, and I've got about half the houses door knocked with signs, and then my knees gave out. So if I haven't come to your door, it isn't that I forgot about you. I just haven't been able to walk well enough to get there. The reason I'm door knocking, and my candidates or my council members are doing the same thing, is because we think it's important that you know how to get a hold of us. So our phone numbers are on those pieces of literature. They're out in the hallway in case you didn't get a piece. And use those phone numbers. If you have a concern, please call us before it becomes a problem. We can handle just about anything, but we need to know ahead of time if we can. So with that, I appreciate 4 more years. I'll be thrilled to do this. Thank you very much for your support. And thanks for not having an opponent. And be sure to vote on November 8th. Thank you.
City Council candidate Andy Hoff.
Okay, my name is Andy Hoff, and I'm running for re-election to the New Hope City Council. I have been a homeowner and resident of New Hope for 47 years. I am married to Juanita and have 2 sons, Dan and Jason, who both went to School District 281. I was a teacher in the Robbinsdale district for 41 years, and I taught government and economics. In fact, I still substitute at both Armstrong and Cooper at this time. I've been a member of the New Hope City Council for 3 terms. I'm a member of the District 281 Superintendent's Advisory Council, and I'm also a U.S. veteran. All these experiences have helped prepare me to serve on the City Council. As a government and economics teacher in District 281 for the 41 years, I understand the process of government. After 12 years on the City Council, I understand the practice of government. During the last 12 years, I have been actively involved in trying to find solutions to problems facing our city. I have respectfully listened to our citizens, ideas, and concerns. I am more than willing to invest my time and experience to find workable solutions to the challenges we face here in New Hope. I believe in a common sense approach to government. Since I've been on the council, we have worked with a financial firm to make our record-keeping and budgets more transparent, as the mayor said. We have set up a fiscally responsible process for bidding on city projects. I have worked hard to keep our taxes as low as possible. Our city has an excellent location, attractive neighborhoods, outstanding parks and recreational program. We also have a growing business community, a strong school district, and a major emphasis on public safety. Serving on the City Council during this challenging economic time has required me to use all of my past experiences. Finding solutions to the issues New Hope has faced over the past 12 years has taken a joint effort, compromise, and hard work by the City Council, staff, and residents. I have enjoyed being your advocate on the City Council. I am committed to working with you to find solutions to our future problems. It's important to search out all the information necessary about issues as they arise. We want you to become involved with the City Council in meeting our future challenges in a very constructive way. Community volunteer, for an example, community volunteer came forward and, along with city staff, received the support of the City Council to establish the farmers market. This is an extremely popular project, and it has worked very, very well. In fact, the farmers market acts as a gathering place to build a community, so together we can find solutions and improve our city. A transit orientation design study was done to set the framework for our city center. The area has moved forward with the addition of a Hy-Vee grocery store complex, which in campaigning in the past years, people have really, really wanted and are very happy with now. A new North Memorial Clinic was completed. Xylon Avenue by City Hall has a new look and provides a gathering place and a focus for City Center. Done residential development is in the process with a number of single-family homes and townhouses in the Parkview area. The city bought and demolished and redeveloped blighted apartments on West Broadway and added another apartment building on Medicine Lake Road. The scattered site housing program, which we have been doing, has replaced several blighted homes. Improving our neighborhoods and continuing to redevelop commercial and business areas is important to keep our city vital and vibrant. We are looking forward to a new Dunkin' Donuts coming along on 42nd Avenue, and I'm sure you are too. And we have been working on a new luxury apartment going in by the golf course. Property taxes are a concern for all of us. Your property taxes go to New Hope, Hennepin County, and the school district. One of the most important jobs of the council is overseeing the city's yearly budget. The council has challenged itself to keep the levy increases as low as possible and maintain the services and infrastructure the citizens demand. Local government aid from the state has decreased, while the mandates from organizations like the Met Council and the state have increased. We're working hard to find ways to save money by using new technology. For example, when we built the ice arena, or worked on the ice arena, remodeled the ice arena, then we used energy funding from that to help pay for that. Our greatest challenge is to provide core city services and programs in a financially efficient manner. Keeping your taxes as low as possible is what we try to do, and that's the plea we hear from our citizens. Finding innovative ways to fund necessary projects is imperative. We did accomplish this, and hopefully we can continue to do that in the future. Keeping our neighborhoods vibrant, strong, and secure is important. Our council has taken steps to increase grant and loan programs to residents to improve their homes, expand scattered site housing redevelopment, brought our police and fire departments up to full strength, added a comprehensive rental inspection program to help maintain the integrity of our neighborhoods. I hope the city center redevelopment will be nearing completion in the next term. I want to continue the scattered site housing program. We need to encourage continuous citizen input into the redevelopment of our police station and city hall, and this will be an important financial decision in which we need your input.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stop sign has been up for a while now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Thank you very much. Our next city council candidate is Eric Lammle.
Hi, I'm Eric Lammle. I'm running for re-election to the New Hope City Council. I'd like to thank the League for coordinating this forum, the audience members for attending. Currently work as a police officer in the South Metro area. I teach crisis de-escalation to other officers throughout the state. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Minnesota and ongoing leadership training from Northwestern University and the FBI. I grew up in New Hope. I received a quality education at Cooper High School. I learned lessons in civics and government from many qualified teachers, including Councilmember Hoff. I started my career as a police officer in New Hope. My professionalism and integrity are values that are ingrained in me by this police department. I'm proud to report that this police department still maintains those values. In 2008, I was first elected to the City Council. In 2012, I was re-elected. I'm proud to run on my record, ask for your vote again in 2016. So this is the part where I talk about my accomplishments, but I'm going to say we, not I, because it's working together with this group that has made all these accomplishments possible. We've made our neighborhoods quieter by silencing our train crossings and adding freeway noise walls. We'll be welcoming families to almost 70 new single-family homes. Some of those families might have chickens. We welcome them too. We welcomed a grocery store to New Hope and have begun the process of revitalizing our city center. We welcome new businesses to our industrial areas. We've made it easier for existing businesses to operate by reducing burdensome regulations and keeping the ones that make sense. We've made our roads better by improving our streets at a faster pace than ever before. We've made them more accessible to drivers, bikers, pedestrians, and people with disabilities by incorporating street seats, complete streets into our design guidelines. We've made our lakes cleaner through smart improvements. We've made our parks and public spaces more vibrant. We put more cops on our streets to keep us safe. We put more cops in our schools to engage our youth and have positive contacts with them. We've improved our outreach and communication to the public via mail, Facebook, our website, and reader boards. Working with the team that's speaking to you tonight, we've accomplished all of this and more. I'm asking for 4 more years so that we can continue on the path we're on and improve it. We will work together to continue our road improvements. We will revamp our website and community engagement process to make even more improvements. We will work with businesses to continue to enhance our city center. We will provide a reasonable voice at City Hall. This year, the team before you is running unopposed. I thank the voters of New Hope for returning me to this position in 2012 and ask that you do so again this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There will be a short break while the candidates for District 45A are seated.
Nice job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Aren't they?
45A are Lyndon Carlson, a member of the DFL Party, and Richard Lieberman, a member of the Republican Party. District 45A encompasses most of New Hope, except for Precinct 1, the northeastern section of Plymouth and northern Crystal. The timekeeper will assist you by indicating how much time remains and when to stop. I think you can see our timekeeper clearly. Please begin with your opening statements of up to 3 minutes. The first speaker will be Richard Lieberman.
Hi, I'm Richard Lieberman, and I truly believe that I will be your next state representative. My wife and I moved to New Hope 1989. We've been there for 27 years. We live over on 48th Winnetka in the cul-de-sac. We brought up 5 children, and they went to District 281, except that the youngest 2 actually ended up going to the fair school. So if we talk about education, I can address what I did at the fair school when I was director of the PTO and some of the fabulous changes I helped make there. And I do have 2 sets of my children out there, and my wife is right out there. We have real problems in the state of Minnesota. We have phenomenal problems. The state legislature was supposed to solve them this year. We had a roads and a bridges bill that was not passed. We had a bonding bill that was not passed. These things weren't done. I mean, these people went there and worked for about 2.5 months, and absolutely nothing was accomplished. And then yesterday, Governor Dayton made a statement. The first 3 words that he said was, "MNsure is unaffordable." That means it's going up 67%. And the people a lot of the people that use MNsure are not extremely wealthy people. And 67%, just for the sake of argument, if you're paying $300 a month, 67% would add $200 more a month. That means you're paying $200 more per month. And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to a lot of people. 2 years ago, Mr. Carlson and I sat up here. At that time, Mr. Carlson had been in office for 42 years. And he asked to be reelected. He had 2 reasons. 1, experience. 2, he can get things done. Well, I don't know what experience all of you have had, but I can tell you my experience with the state legislature this year is not very good. The experience that I saw was nothing was getting done. You couldn't do that in the private business world. You couldn't do it where I work. And as far as getting things done, I'll let that speak to itself. I said in the Sun, I got 30 seconds. I said in the Sun Post 2 months ago, the Republicans were beholden to the Republicans. The Democrats were beholden to the Democrats. I'm talking about this year at the legislature. Mr. Carlson was on this arm. They wouldn't cross party lines. It was complete gridlock. They would pass nothing. What I said in the Sun Post was I would have spent all $950 million surplus. I would have spent it on roads, bridges, transportation, and on a safety medical net. And I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Lyndon Carlson?
Yeah, I'm Lyndon Carlson, and I'm running for re-election to the Minnesota House of Representatives. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring tonight's forum. A little bit about my background. I'm married, and my wife Carol is in the audience, and we have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. I'm a graduate of Minnesota State University Mankato, and I did graduate work at the University of St. Thomas and Minnesota State University Mankato. I'm a retired teacher. I was elected to the Minnesota House of Representatives in 1972. My committee assignments are Ways and Means, and I'm the DFL lead and former chair of that committee, Taxes and State Government Finance. And I serve as part of our caucus leadership, and I also serve on the executive board of the Midwestern Higher Education Compact. My areas of interest are education, jobs, economic development, transportation, tax reform, environmental protection, and healthcare cost containment. If reelected, I will put a high priority on the issues that have been raised in my door-to-door campaign this summer and fall. Investing in students pre-K through college, making college more affordable and reducing student debt, supporting small businesses and promoting innovation, solving our infrastructure and transportation issues, and growing our economy and creating jobs in Minnesota. I'm committed to working on these and other issues that are important to our state. Thank you.
Thank you. It is now time for audience questions. You may continue to write and raise your hand for a league member to collect your questions during the course of the forum. Questions may be directed to an individual or to both candidates, and each candidate has the opportunity to respond to any question. It is our intention to select questions that represent the interest expressed by members of our audience and those who submit questions. We do reserve the right to consolidate questions if there are several on one issue, so that as many issues as possible may be covered during this period. Questions will be answered in rotating order. Lyndon Carlson will be the first to answer the first question on Minnesota's tax system. The Minnesota tax system has moved from progressive income taxes to more regressive property taxes in recent years. What is your philosophy on taxation?
Well, I have always supported trying to move away from an over-reliance on the property tax. And in part, I can address some of the earlier comments relative to the last legislative session. We did pass a tax bill. On the House side, it had strong bipartisan support, 111 votes. Unfortunately, the drafting of the bill, as it was discovered on the governor's desk by the majority party in the House, the Republican caucus, had an error. And that error had a $100 million impact on the Viking Stadium funding. And so the governor chose to veto the bill because of the $100 million error. But there was a lot of good items in the bill, not the least of which was major property tax relief to address the question that was before us.
Thank you. Richard Lieberman?
Specifically, it was told that it mechanically could have been passed and it could have been changed, and the governor still chose to veto it. And my understanding is that that bill could have been passed regardless. As far as taxes go, Mr. Carlson has been on the tax committee. He's been on it for a long time. He just stated what he does on it. And here's what I know. I think we're the fourth highest tax state in the United States. Right now, currently, the fourth highest. And if all the taxes that I've seen proposed were to go through, I believe we would become the third highest tax state. 1 minute? Oh, so we have 2 minutes to answer? Okay, well.
1.5 minutes.
Oh, 1.5. Okay, I got you. The most important thing I'm going to do before I vote on any tax bill is going to do what we've all know I'm doing, and that's sending out the email or a text and being able to tell the residents of New Hope and Crystal, of our district, exactly what the tax bill would be. I would say, this is what you're going to get, and this is what it's going to cost you. Do you want it or do you not want it? So for the first time, people are actually going to be able to make a decision, not just find out, well, we raised the taxes or we lower, or possibly lowered the taxes. Usually we raise the taxes. But the point is, our taxes are going up, and the people of our district need to be able to have their voice heard and be able to tell me yes or no. And that's something that I'm specifically going to do.
Thank you. The first candidate to answer the next question will be Richard Lieberman, and the question is directed to you, but both candidates are welcome to answer the question. In 2012, District 45 voters clearly voted no to Republican-supported amendments on marriage and voter ID. You have said you'll email constituents before you vote. If you are chosen to represent District 45, would you disregard your party's platform?
Yes.
Okay. Quick answer. Do you want to have any answer to the question?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm done. Okay.
Okay.
Yes
got
is
more time.
yes is yes.
I voted in support of marriage equality, and I voted against those two amendments going on the ballot, both as a member of the Minnesota House of Representatives and as a private citizen in the ballot box.
Thank you. For the next question, Lyndon Carlson will be the first one to answer. A citizen has a very small company that isn't required to have health insurance for their employees. Their individual health insurance policy is no longer available through Blue Cross and other health insurance companies. What is the smartest way to get health insurance for an individual family in Minnesota? Would you support a special session of the legislature in November to address this issue?
The answer is a simple yes. I think we have had increasing rates beyond the ability of many people to pay, and we do have a lack of competition among the providers, as was shown in the question with Blue Cross Blue Shield no longer offering health insurance. Governor Dayton has indicated that he's open to moving ahead on trying to resolve the issue as soon as possible. Now, one thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is that federal law prevented reinsurance, and in every line of insurance that's written, auto, home, whatever, you can form reinsurance programs among the insurers. And Rubio, the former presidential candidate, put an amendment on the Affordable Health Care Act when it went through, preventing reinsurance. And that's where you share the risk. And with so many high-risk people going to the private sector, that's driven the costs because there's a lack of competition and reinsurance. Now, there are other things that can be done, but that's one key factor. And 2 states are currently asking for waivers and have passed laws just very recently. One is Oregon and the other is Alaska, dealing with the reinsurance issue.
Thank you. Richard Lieberman?
I'm not much of as an expert as Lyndon is on the health. That's not my specialty. But I can tell you this. We used to have Blue Cross. We can barely afford it anymore. It went up. I don't know what the legislature did. I don't know what Minnesota did. But about 8 or 10 years ago, health care was pretty decent in this state. In fact, it was darn good. We got good rates. We got great health care. And for those that couldn't afford health care, there was monies available for them. And now, I'm not quite sure what happened, but what I do know for sure is that people aren't going to be able to afford it. They're not going to be able to afford health care. I don't know what happened with MNsure. I don't know why we did that in the first place. As a matter of fact, I can see going back a few years ago, I don't know why we just don't have medical insurance across state lines. I think it'd be really competitive, and then when more people get involved and there's more competition, rates go down, choices go up. For instance, the way car insurance is done, like Geico. I've never understood why we can't do that. I mean, could you imagine being bombarded all day long with TV commercials and be able to pick what type of health provider you like? So basically, the more the government gets involved, the worse it gets. And I don't think that it takes rocket science. I think we've all seen that happen.
Thank you. Richard Lieberman will be the first one to answer the next question. As a police officer, I know we need to begin a dialogue between police and the minority community so that we all can understand that blue lives matter and that black lives matter, and that they can both be true at the same time. As a state representative, what steps will you take to start this dialogue?
Well, not only does blue lives matter, and not only does black lives matter, but I'm Jewish. Jewish lives matter. My wife's Catholic. Catholic lives matter. Muslims' lives matter. Everybody's life matters. I talked to a few police officers when I was knocking on doors. Every one of them told me the same thing. Every one of them should have a camera. Every single police officer should have a camera, and when they get out of their car, there should be a trigger that turns that camera on. It's going to protect everybody. It's going to protect the police. It's going to protect the citizens, and it's going to have total accountability. There's not going to be questions. There's not going to be, well, what happened behind the scenes that we don't know. So if I was in the legislature, I would absolutely send an email out, tell everybody in our district, this is what I believe, this is why I believe it. But when a police officer gets out of his car, that camera should turn on automatically and trigger. It protects everybody. I think that's the smartest thing we can do. I think that's the very first step that we need to do.
Thank you. Lyndon Carlson?
Yeah, we heard a police officer in the previous meeting comment that one of the things that he does in addition to working for the New Hope Department is he works with other police departments on de-escalation training. And that is one area that does have a lot of promise. If you read the Tribune today, you probably saw that Governor Dayton has appointed a commission that is made up of law enforcement and a diverse range of community groups. And they're being asked to report back to the governor and ultimately to the legislature. And the goal is to improve trust, safety, and justice for Minnesotans. And I look forward to the report from that commission. But I can't emphasize strongly enough that one of the important things is the de-escalation training that's currently going on across the state of Minnesota.
Thank you. The next question is for Mr. Carlson, but you are both welcome to answer it. What are your views on term limits?
I don't mean to make light of it, but in a sense we have term limits currently, and that's standing for election. In the case of a member of the Minnesota House, you stand for election every 2 years. I also am aware when I talk to people from other states where they do have term limits that it creates a different set of problems that a lot of people don't generally think of, and that's that you lose a lot of your experience and institutional memory in those states that have term limits. But members of the Minnesota House stand for election every 2 years, state senators every 4 years, except in a redistricting year, and then they stand for re-election or election with a 2-year term. I think that's a decision of the voters to determine how long one continues to serve. And I think if you're a legislator and you're doing a good job and the voters return you, that's a real plus for the state of Minnesota.
Thank you. Mr. Lieberman, do you wish to answer the question?
We need term limits. We very seriously need term limits. We've talked about experience. I'll tell you what, how about the fact that when some of these legislators have been there for year after year, for 10 years, for 20 years, they get very comfortable in the position. They make a lot of friends, a lot of lobbyist friends, a lot of connections, and they get very settled in, and they want to keep it, and they want to stay there. I was just thinking about Vladimir Putin today. What if there was term limits in Russia like there is in America? Putin wouldn't be president again. Like he was president, then he was whatever, now he's president again. I mean, look at all these countries. America, 2 terms for the president. That's it. 2 terms for the governor of Minnesota. That's it. Plenty of experience. 4 years you're in office, 6 years you're in office, 8 years you're in office. Lots of experience. And I'll tell you something else. The framers of the Minnesota Constitution, there's a reason why they decided that the state representative has to face the voters every 2 years so that they can be gotten rid of real quickly if they're not doing a job. So even the framers, I mean, a state representative has to go up every 2 years. Even a council member gets to be in there for 4 years. So as far as I'm concerned, even the framers of the Minnesota Constitution wanted to see a big changeover. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, Richard Lieberman will be the first one to answer. The Blue Line light rail has some controversial aspects for Crystal citizens. How do you view this major transportation change and its effect on our area?
The Blue Line's going to go through. It's rubber stamped. It's actually going to happen, and there isn't much stopping it. The Met Council, which is a bunch of people that are appointed that are not voted in, those people make all the decisions for Golden Valley, for New Hope, for all the other cities. Now that the Blue Line is going in, what's the biggest concern? A pedestrian bridge over 81. The Met Council has put a value on a human life. The Met Council has decided that they're not going to build a pedestrian bridge because it's too much money. I don't know if the figure was 750, 800,000. Lyndon might know that answer. But the Met Council said too much. So at about 7 in the morning, when somebody is rushing across 6 lanes of 81 when it's still dark out to catch that Blue Line, God, I hope they aren't run over, they aren't hurt, they aren't killed. But all I can say is if I go to the state legislature, I can promise you I will bring the wrath of the whole state legislature down on the Met Council, and I can guarantee you, if I make one promise to you, there will be a pedestrian bridge, and the Met Council will put it in.
Lyndon Carlson?
Yeah, first of all, I want to point out that the Blue Line is a real positive for our area. I would say that Mr. Lieberman has touched on an area that I agree with him on, and that's the safety issue up on 81 and Bass Lake Road. The Crystal City Council sent a letter a short time ago, or some of the members of the council, requesting the bridge. I did attend meetings where that very issue was discussed, and there are ways of accomplishing a bridge that would create a much safer environment along Bass Lake Road. So that's an area that I don't disagree with him at all on, and hopefully the Metropolitan Council, as they review what the city of Crystal has been saying and what others have been saying, that they'll reconsider the bridge option.
Thank you. For the next question, Lyndon Carlson will be the first one to answer. Should raising minimum wage to $15 an hour be decided by voters on a ballot, or should our elected officials decide?
The livable, I call that the livable wage, and my preference would be that we pass a livable wage statewide. However, as we all know, that there are some communities that are wanting to make that decision locally, primarily cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, and possibly even Duluth. But I think the best case would be a statewide livable wage. But I don't think the role of the legislature would be to overrule the decision that might be made, for example, in the city of Minneapolis, if they choose to go with a $15 livable wage number. Some actually say that to really achieve a livable wage these days in the metropolitan area, it should be closer to $18 an hour.
Thank you. Richard Lieberman?
I think the state legislature should set the law. First of all, I do believe there should be a very large raise in minimum wage. I agree with Mr. Carlson that the minimum wage right now is not livable. It should go up, and we're just going to have to figure out how we can make it all work. But, I mean, people that are working, if they're not, originally it was for young people to get into the workforce. I get it. Well, guess what? Sometimes we're not seeing really young people working some of these jobs because of our economy. People that would normally have much better jobs are working these jobs. So I totally agree with Mr. Carlson, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if $18 an hour is a good rate too. But as far as letting Minneapolis, all of a sudden, they're going to do this here. What that does is it creates a shock wave. So there's businesses that might move out of Minneapolis, or they have to play by the Minneapolis rules, like a franchise. And if the franchise is over in Golden Valley, and they have to pay one rate, and then they have to pay a different rate in Minneapolis, no, I think it should be statewide. Whether it's by the people voting on it or the state legislature, whatever it is, it needs to be statewide so people know what they're doing. I mean, you don't have one city doing this, one city doing that. That doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think it's ever been like that. So, yes, I'd like to see the minimum wage go up. Yes, I'd like to see the voters decide it, and if they can't, the legislature does. But I think it should be uniform for the whole state.
Thank you. The first person to answer the next question will be Richard Lieberman, and this will be the last question before the closing statements. Care for citizens with mental illness is recognized as inadequate in housing, in policing, in incarceration, instead of proper treatment. Do you have solutions?
Yes. First of all, I met a lot of people as I'm door knocking. I met a woman who, I hope I'm not giving out too much information, I'm being very generic, but I met a woman. She has a 14-year-old daughter that is extremely bipolar, and she's, well, cutting herself. I mean, I don't know if we can say that on TV, but it's a very serious thing. And her mother is not getting enough state aid, and she's not getting enough help. And I brought up 5 children. And I've been through just about as much as we can all be through bringing up 5 children. And a 14-year-old girl, really? She's so helpable. I mean, it's so easy to help a 14-year-old girl. And in a few years, she'll, work her way through it. Does she need help? Yes. Absolutely. And that's why I said in the Sun Post that I would have spent the $950 million. I would have spent a lot of it on roads, bridges, and transportation, but I would have spent a big piece of it on medical safety net. And that is part of the medical safety net. A 14-year-old gal that is healed heals all the people around her, because all the people around her are also sick trying to deal with this. And it makes everybody healthy. I mean, it's the most important thing that we can do. I fully support it.
Thank you. Lyndon Carlson.
Yeah, that's an issue that I have worked on in the past. One of the first bills that I introduced on that issue was dealing with mental health issues and providing an opportunity to provide services for school children. And it's probably one of the major, not just school children, but when we talk about mental health generally, one of the major health care issues that's really before the whole country as well as the state of Minnesota. Another area that I've done some work on, I was on the conference committee when we were dealing with the building of the new hospital in Maple Grove. And part of that discussion was centered on the shortage of beds for people who are suffering from mental illness in the metropolitan area. And that's an issue that's not resolved yet either. So we do need to provide more services, better services, and have adequate facilities for people that have mental health needs.
Thank you. We have now reached the final segment of this part of the forum when each candidate has 1 minute to give a closing statement. We will begin in reverse order from the opening statement, and that means we begin with Lyndon Carlson.
Well, again, thank you. And I'd like to point out a couple of things. It's been gone back and forth a little bit here tonight. I've been in the legislature for 44 years, but one of the things I'd like to mention is that I've had 100% attendance since being elected. I've never missed a legislative day. I've put a high emphasis on communicating with constituents. I've co-sponsored town hall meetings, questionnaires, and reports each session, meeting with constituents whenever we have an opportunity, both in the district and in St. Paul. I've promised, again, as I have always done in the past, a positive campaign, an honest campaign, and I would also appreciate your support. And again, I would like to thank the League.
Thank you. You have heard from your candidates for the House of Representatives in District... Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, Richard, let's not forget about your closing.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I just want everybody to ask themselves a question as they go into the voting booth. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the presidential election, thank you. I mean, that's going to be a challenge for everybody when they go into the voting booth. But a fourth box down will be your House candidate. Lyndon's been there for 44 years. I would like to be your next state representative. So here's the question that I would like you to ask yourself before you check that box. And forget the R and forget the D. The question is your experience, has your experience that you've had been adequate, or are you ready for a change? Are you ready to try and do some things differently? That's the question I would like you to ask. Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum.
Thank you. Now you've really heard from your candidates for the House of Representatives in 45A. There will be a short break while candidates from District 45B are seated.
Very good.
Candidates for District 45B, Mike Freiberg. And as is our usual custom, we will allow him to give a statement for up to 5 minutes. And so would you like to begin your statement on why you would like to be a representative?
Sure. First of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters of Crystal, New Hope, and East Plymouth for putting on this forum. It's great to have the opportunity to talk in front of your constituents about issues that matter. Once again, my name's Mike Freiberg. I've represented all or parts of Crystal, Golden Valley, New Hope, and Robbinsdale in the Minnesota House of Representatives since 2013. And it's been an honor. I serve on the Legacy Committee, which I've served on for both terms, on the Rules Committee, and the Health Policy Committee. I've worked for 10 years as an attorney working in public health, so the Health Policy Committee's been a good fit for me these past 2 years, and a lot of interesting topics have come up there. I grew up in our community. I'm a Robbinsdale Schools parent. My daughter just started first grade at Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion School, and my son is in preschool here in New Hope. I'm going to delete the sentence that says, I'm sure there will be questions about the session. So I'm kind of changing my statement on the fly here. But, I won't lie, this was kind of a frustrating session these past 2 years. It's true we didn't pass some of the major initiatives we set out to pass, like transportation and bonding. In spite of that, I'm proud that I was able to get bills passed that will benefit people, organizations, and businesses in our community here. I authored the legislation to convey the Fair School in Crystal to the Robbinsdale School District. I helped create a pilot program for North Memorial in Robbinsdale. I authored a bill to correct reimbursement issues for the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute in Golden Valley. Senator Rest and I received Legislative Hero Awards for our work on that, which was a great honor. If I am reelected, I will work to pass a comprehensive transportation funding package that includes funding for mass transit, including the Bottineau Blue Line, that will benefit our area. I just spoke to one of the candidates for New Hope City office before this forum, and they pointed out that they've heard some rumblings about development here in New Hope because of the Blue Line, even though the Blue Line doesn't actually go through New Hope. So, it's something that I think will be a regional benefit in our area. My second goal, if I'm reelected, will be to invest in education from pre-kindergarten through college. And my third goal would be to increase government accountability. Part of the reason the session was so frustrating is, just kind of the amateurish way legislation is drafted at the legislature, particularly when you're in the minority party, such as I am. There are 600-page bills handed to you. You have very little time to read them, and it wasn't very surprising in the previous debate. There was mentioned the $100 million drafting error. So as I mentioned, it's been an honor to serve for the last 4 years. We have, even though the last session was somewhat frustrating, there's been a lot accomplished during the last 4 years. We created all-day kindergarten. We froze college tuition. We created marriage equality here in Minnesota. Any of those 3 issues, I'm just thrilled that we were able to do, and it's been great. So I hope you'll consider supporting me in my re-election campaign. Election day is November 8th this year, but we have no-fault early voting for the first time here in Minnesota, so you can vote tomorrow if you want also, and I would be honored to have your support. So thank you once again for hosting this forum, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to approach me after the forum.
Thank you. We want to thank the candidates and audience members for their part in the forum tonight. Let's have a big hand for all the candidates who have done their part tonight. Your part. Your part, as Mike just said, is to vote Tuesday, November 8th. Thank you.
We'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and to Carol Ware for her moderating. And remember to vote, and early voting, as Mike has said, started September 23rd. And if you have any questions, please see any members of the League after this meeting. Thank you very much for coming tonight.